There's the dog. And that's probably the hardest thing that we can do. So often within. Well, good evening. I'm Martin Tyner, and we're out at the Parowan Gap. This is one of my favorite little training areas for getting my hawks and falcons started back, either started back in falconry or for the new ones to get started in. And we've got Belle with us today. Now, Belle is a Harris Hawk, and she was with me last year. And just kind of follow along, Sue. She was with me last year, and she was very successful her first season. Come along, Sue. Her very first season. So we're going to get her back into the season. The falconry season starts September 1st, which is in about a week. And so we need to, let's see, which way is the wind coming? It's coming from that direction. So we're going to start right here. And this is called a Crayons. What this is just basically light cord. This is on PVC, and it's filled with lead, so it's a little bit heavy, so that she can't just fly off with it. Now, it's really important for people to understand that even though Belle and I work wonderfully together, she doesn't come back to me because she likes me. She comes back to me because I make her life easier and more convenient. And so we string out the cord here. That gives us more than enough distance for what we need to use today. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be calling her to the glove through her beginning stages of training. And again, let me qualify that. It's a reintroduction to training. You know, she's been on vacation for over 6 months. And so we've got to get her back and going again. Our hunting season, where we can have the birds out in the field, is September through February. And so once we hit to the end of February, the birds aren't allowed to go hunting anymore. That's by both state and federal law. And so what we have here, this is her little goodie bag, and these are tidbits for her. And this is just little bite-sized morsels of food, and basically she jumps to the glove, she gets rewarded. Now I'm going to show you guys a few little tips and tricks that a lot of beginning falconers have an issue with. You know, you have to get the bird, first of all, well manned. Now, a lot of falconers will take their birds, and at the end of the falconry season they put them in a chamber, and that's where the bird sits for 6 months, and that's really not appropriate. The birds should be handled every single day, should be fed every single day, even though they get all that they want to eat, so that their feathers grow appropriately. But we want the birds to have that socialization, and this is what I've done with Belle. And she's, you know, basically gets kind of handled and played with every single day. Now, they do need to get used to the hawk box, and this is just a box. This is one that I made. It's made out of light plywood. It's got a perch on it, and it's very, very convenient to transport your bird in a hawk box. I don't like to transport the birds on an open perch. Basically, this way the bird is 100% safe, and if the hood happens to come off or there happens to be some kind of an issue, the bird's very, very safe to be transported in the box. So that's always a much better way to do it. Again, we always want to make sure the bird is clipped, so that if we do trip and fall or something, that the bird is caught here. If we lose the bird with the jesses attached to the swivel here, this could get tangled and the bird could end up hanging itself and dying. So we want to make sure we always have the bird clipped to our glove. And so let's kind of come out here a little bit over to the Crayons. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're flying them into the wind. Every pilot knows that when you take off with an airplane, you want to fly into the wind, and you want to land into the wind. That means that you can have a slower airspeed. And so we definitely want to always start off with the birds going into the wind. That's very, very important. Now I just make a little slip knot there, put the line through, and now she's very, very secure here. And so the clip is off from the club, and good girl. And I've got goodies for you. I do. I've got goodies for you. Now it is really quite breezy, and so we'll be dealing with the breeze a little bit. But we'll kind of go from there. Here you go, Belle. Now when you do this, here's the trick, guys. You know, she's still about 85 grams overweight, and so I can't expect her to respond appropriately, especially of the heat. It's about 83, 84 degrees out here right now, even though we're in the shade, and it's a little bit on the warm side. And so we always want to start relatively close so the bird feels that, you know, that it's comfortable. And as you can see, she's kind of looking around and trying to figure out, you know, what's going on here. And so that distraction is part of the fat, the overweightness that she has. And we've got a car coming. Oh, you're going to come right up. Good girl. And the whistle is the dinner bell. So, you know, she jumped a foot, and that's wonderful. Now, if she doesn't jump the foot, then what you may want to do. It's okay, sweetie. Yes, that's my girl. With the car. Come on. Come on, get out of my way. We do have people come here every once in a while, and all they had to do is just move through and park, and we'd be fine. But they want to sit there and look. Okay, sweetie. Well, now we've got her first little jump to the glove, and so that's really, really good. Now we're just going to move a little bit further away. She kind of knows what we're trying to do here. As you see how nice that is. I didn't move very far, but again, you know, she's been well trained last year. She's been handled and manned for the last 6 months. She's used to lots and lots of our routines, and so this initial stage, even though she is quite a bit overweight, she'll still be a lot more attentive than what you would normally expect. Good girl. Such a good girl. Go right there. Very good. You're doing good, sweetie. Let's make you go a little bit further now. What a good girl. Such a... Oh, I know. Hold on, sweetie. There you go. Let's do this again. Now you can see that she's being distracted right now, but I am not going to move any closer. We're about 25, 30 feet away. And if she doesn't make this distance, then we will basically end the training session. There's my girl. What a good girl.
There's also distractions with people out here.
Yeah, we've got people here, and so she's still very curious about what everybody's doing and what's going on. Okay. Now, here's the point, guys, that I want to make in this little train video that we're doing for you today, is a huge mistake that a lot of beginning falconers make, is that they will go too far away from the bird, and the bird will hesitate, and the bird won't come. And since the bird won't come, what they're going to do is they're going to say, "Oh, I'll come a little bit closer." And they blow the whistle and the bird doesn't come. And then they come a little bit closer and they blow the whistle and the bird doesn't come. And the truth of the matter is, the bird is doing an excellent job of training the falconer. And what that means is that your bird knows that if it hesitates, you'll come to the bird and feed it, instead of the bird having to come to you. So you do, once you've drawn a line in the sand and saying, I'm requiring you to fly a specific distance, if they don't fly that distance, that means that that they're not hungry enough and you need to end the training session. So that was a little bit far for her, for her weight and early time of year, so I'm not going to go quite as far. So I want to end the training session on a positive note, just like that, so that she feels that she's being well rewarded for her efforts. And the truth of the matter is, that's kind of it for this little training session. Oh, I know you don't think it's it, do you? So you want to do some more. But we've got a lot of weight to get off of you in a week. And she takes the hood quite well. There's my girl. Again, clip them to the glove. Really important that you get your birds clipped up so that if something goes wrong, if you trip or fall, the bird doesn't end up getting away with the jesses and swivel on where the bird could get caught, or leashes, which is even worse. And so let's recap really quickly. You have a bird, take it through the molt. That's extremely important. Don't just at the end of the season turn them loose. You need to fly them the second year, because they're always better the second year. When you start your training, you come out to a nice open area where the crayons won't get tangled. And then if you have a little bit of distraction, that's not a bad thing. So for these people to come up and drive up and that kind of stuff is just fine. There's no issue with that at all. In fact, a little bit of distractions is actually a really, really good thing, because when you've got your bird out in the field, you're going to have distractions. You're going to have helicopters and airplanes and motorcycles and ATVs and dogs and all sorts of distractions, and that you have to get the bird used to. It's better to get the bird used to the distractions in a controlled situation than it is out in the field when you're hunting. And then once you've laid out the crayons, start close to begin with, so the bird feels very comfortable. Move away short distances, a little further and a little bit further. If the bird hesitates, as you just saw her hesitate, do not move closer. If the bird hesitates, if you've made that mistake, and it is a mistake, if you've made the mistake of going too far that your bird is not quite ready for, then please, you walk up to your bird, you can have a tidbit, but you want to walk all the way up to your bird, put your hand down, let the bird step on the glove. That's the end of the training session. You always want to end on a positive note. If the bird does come after a little hesitation, wonderful. Walk the bird back to the perch that she's on. In this case, it's a rail fence. Put her down there. Walk away a little bit again. Have her jump to the glove, not as far. Feed her again. Keep everything 100% positive. Make sure that she feels really good about her rewards, and that she's getting what she needs out of this relationship. And I promise you, if you guys will do this, you will find tremendous success in flying your birds. Well, that's our little training tip for the day. And Belle and I are going to go back home, and we're going to go find a shady spot in the yard and sit out under the trees and hang out together. And I'll probably give her another little tidbit at home. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Okay, we've just returned from a very successful training session in the field with my little girl Belle, and we're going to finish off our little training session, as I try to do, especially when the weather's so nice, I try to do every evening, and that is that we're going to spend a little quality time with her. Hey, pretty girl. Here's my girl. So here's my little Belle. Let me grab her leash real quick, in case we need that. Okay. Hi, Cody. Yes, I know you're so excited. Yes, you are so excited, aren't you, dum-dum? You found it. In a minute. Give me a minute. Okay. And this is one of the most important things that you can do with your bird. Whether it's a fresh young bird that you've received, or it's a freshly trapped passage, or it's a hawk that you've had for 30 years. It really doesn't matter. One of the most important things you can do is take a little bit of time and man the bird. The bird has to be able to put up with the dog and put up, I've got the street in front of me here, and cars, noise, and that kind of stuff. And so we just find ourselves a little spot here, and we're going to sit down very quietly. Let's get this off, sweetie. I know. Come on. There we go. Yeah, there's the dog. She doesn't like Cody, but that's okay. Hey, right there. There's my girl. There's my girl. And we actually, I do this on purpose. This is really important. I want her around the dog, and I throw the frisbee, which is kind of a weird thing that, they get a little bit nervous about, but that's good. We want her to over here, Cody. Put her over here. Yeah, that's about right. Huh. You don't like Cody, do ya? That's okay. You don't have to like him. He's kind of ugly. Cody, put it over here. Would you like another tidbit? Okay, last tidbit for the night. This is the last of her meal. Now, I've got it in my hand. As you can see, it's completely hidden from her. Cody, down. Drop it.
Cody, come over here.
It's completely hidden from her.
Cody,
So,
here.
I don't want her to see me hand her the tidbit, because if she knows that I have tidbits in my hand, what will happen is, I bring my hand up here and she'll foot me, and that can be extremely painful. And so I always want to kind of hide things so that she doesn't see it coming. And what I'll do is I'll roll the glove. This is my little trick. I kind of roll the glove over so the tidbit is under the glove, and now I've got the tidbit in the glove, not in my hand anymore. Just kind of pretending to be a magician. And then once I've got my hand away so she doesn't think my hand has got the food, I'll bring the glove back over and she sees the tidbit. See how easy that is? And that way she looks at the glove for the food, she doesn't look at my hand for the food, and so I can bring my hand up and I can stroke her. Yes, I know. Ugly dogs. And I can stroke her and handle her. I can work with her feet, and she doesn't foot me, because she doesn't see my hand as a food source. And that's a very, very important trick we try to get across to everybody. If you make that mistake, you're going to find every time you put your hand up close to your bird, you're going to have a talon through your hand. And that's no fun. And so there's just lots of little things. It's very difficult to learn falconry from a book. You really need to learn from an experienced falconer that is willing to teach, and that's probably the hardest thing that we can do. So often within falconry, most falconers are very much solitary, and they're not good teachers, and so you quite frequently find here in the United States you have to have a sponsor who is a general class or master class falconer, but oftentimes the sponsors will sign the apprentice's paperwork but won't teach them anything. And that becomes a real problem when you have a bunch of apprentice or beginning falconers that are teaching each other things that they don't know. And so if you can find a good, high-quality falconer that's willing to sit down and teach, you're very fortunate, and I was very fortunate. My mentor was named Hubert, and he was a multi-generational Hungarian falconer. And when I was a teenager, he took me under his wing. He taught me to fly birds. And so I've been very grateful for the teachings that I received. And so that's one of the reasons we're trying to pass this along to everybody. And so, guys, Belle and I are just going to sit out here for about an hour with Cody being a monster. and distracting Belle. And so you guys have a good evening. I know we will. Good night.
Along with this second season of Belle's Hunting, we would like to introduce the Belle Blog at www.gowildlife.org/Belle. We're only promoting it from her videos as we understand some may be sensitive to the nature of its contents. At present, the Belle Blog contains photos of her catches this season, as well as links to her other videos and some falconry videos. In the future, we hope to include a Q&A section and special falconry podcasts. If you have questions or would like to suggest additional content, please let us know. All questions and comments can be sent to martin@martintyner.com.